Hi, Ron Harrison here from Unlimited Success Financial, and we're a part of the Five Rings financial family. Five Rings has about 8,000 people like me around the country, independent agents, which is nice because we can shop four, five, or even 10 different companies to find out the best product for you. We work a lot with middle Americans, people just like us, because we're not it's not that we're not smart about money, but we're uneducated. Rich people have advisors, they pay advisors to help them. Well, middle Americans really don't have those types of people. So, anyway, what we do is we educate people about opportunities with their money. And what I'm going to talk about today, what we call index plans. So, just to make, apples to apples comparison, what I'm going to be looking at is a $100,000 index plan, and we're going to look at two options: treating that 100,000 as an investment like plan versus a pension like plan. When I talk about the the types of ways we can help people with their money, people do these indexed IRAs. The most common way is with a 401k rollover from an old employer or an IRA from an old employer. That's pretty common. I also have people who maybe have an inheritance, they sell a house or something like that. They come into a lump sum pile of money. They can use it for these types of plans. It could be a 403b, a 457 from nonprofit employers, a TSP account, could even be a pension plan. I've worked with a number of teachers that have taken their state pension plan because state pension plans can be in lots of trouble, and roll them into these plans that cannot lose any money. Let's just talk about how indexing works. So the first thing, I like to look at this graph I put together. These show real numbers. So the lines, the red and the green lines, those are the Dow and the S&P 500. Now this would be if all of your money was spread out equally amongst those um, stock exchanges. Now we know not everybody's money is spread out evenly. You might have a bunch of Apple, a bunch of IBM, Caterpillar, or whatever. But just to make this comparison, we have to look at the overall levels of the markets themselves. So you can see those markets, look at those downturns, right? We lived through all of those downturns, but look at the blue line. The blue line is indexed. So you can see index goes sideways when the market is bad, goes up when the market is good, sideways up, right? There are no downturns in any of the indexing. Look at right here in 2022 when the S&P lost 19%, people lost nearly $60,000 of their S&P based plan. They lost about 8,000 in their Dow. Look at the index plans. They were at 353, they stayed at 353. Now this is really important. To not lose money is crucially important as you get older, right? So you can see just some of the bullet points over here. You don't have to wait for the market to catch up. You get the top side growth, but you have no bottom side loss. So when your money is on an index plan, it's on the stock market escalator, up, sideways, like an escalator. When it's on in the stock market itself, it's on a roller coaster, right? My clients and myself and my family, we like being on the escalator as opposed to the roller coaster. So let's take a look at a couple plans. So again, as I said, I'm going to look at the contrast between investment-like plans and pension-like plans. So the investment-like plan we're going to look at first is one of my favorites from one of the companies that I work with. The company is called Silac Insurance. And yes, all the work I do is through insurance companies. Insurance companies, and you would agree, are the richest companies in the world in general. I mean, technology companies are pretty rich too, but insurance companies are far better off than other financial companies like banks and savings institutions and investment institutions. They are held to a much higher level, so they hedge their bets against loss. That's how they can afford to allow their clients to have zero loss plans. So this one we're looking at is called the Denali 10. And in this plan, you can see that it's credited two ways. Half of the crediting is with an AI controlled point-to-point plan, and half the crediting is with the Index Generations 5, which is kind of a technology-based fund. And you can actually call those things mutual funds. They sort of work like that. So you can get kind of the feel of the market without being in the market. So if we take a look at this, I'll scroll up a little bit, take a look at it. Look at these, 12%, 11.5% almost, 15%. Now what insurance companies do is they look back 20 years. This column, they take the most recent 10 years out of the 20, so that's pretty easy, right? 2012 to 2022, roughly. The lowest 10 consecutive years of that 20-year period, so you can see what that does, and the highest 10 consecutive years of that 20-year period. So that was probably going to be like from 2020 or 2010 to 2020, roughly. We don't know exactly, right? But look at these returns. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? So that 100,000 turns into 400,000, whatever that number is right here. So that's pretty incredible. Now, some of the things to think about as we look at these, again, these are investment type plans, so the money up, sideways, grows and grows and grows. And then at the end, you say, hey, I'm just going to take my money and run. Or you can take 50,000 out for 9 years or 10 years in a row, whatever it happens to be. But look at the benefits of using this type of plan. Diversified allocations, as I showed you up here, diversification, right? Guaranteed bottom side protection, you cannot lose on that. Once credited, your growth is locked in. That's so much different than Fidelity, Charles Schwab, those sorts of companies, right? You can have a great year, and then the next year you go down. You lose your principal and you lose your growth. In these, your principal and growth are protected every year. You can turn these into guaranteed lifetime income if you want to, and I'll talk about that in a minute when we look at the next plan. No tax implications as the money grows. It grows tax deferred. Great plan, isn't it? So this would be if somebody just wants to grow their money, then take that money and as an inheritance to others or build a cabin in the woods, whatever they might want to do. Now let's look at a plan that people, or they might want to have a pension that guarantees them money for the rest of their life. This is really an interesting plan. So if we look at it, first of all, what we know, of course, is pensions. They're designed to grow your money. If you're a teacher, police officer, fireman, professional athlete, right, they have pensions. People that work with unions have pensions typically. Well, they grow your money and then they pay you a check every month for the rest of your life. Well, the thing about that is many, many, many private pension funds, because they are invested in the stock market, are teetering on default. Or like teachers, they think they're going to be at a certain pension level, then 10 years later when they retire, they're a lower pension level because the rules have changed. Well, when I work with people with what I do, this is a company called Fidelity and Guarantee. They're not related to the Fidelity Investment Company. It's just the name of their company. This is their Safe Income Advantage plan. And the cool thing about this is it's guaranteed 7.2 compounded every single year. So think of this. In 2022, when the S&P 500 lost 19%, my clients gained 7.2%. So they were like 26 or 27% ahead of the next door neighbors who were in the S&P 500. Now, the nice thing about these plans, instead of going up, sideways, these go on a diagonal because you know you're getting 7.2 every year. There's growth every single year. So look at all the benefits down here. Never run out of money, all of that. So if we think of this, that 100,000 in the first year is going to be 107,000. I know that exactly. And then down here, finally in year 10, 200,000. Absolutely guaranteed, no chance of loss. So look at these balances over here, those pension balances. All I did is just take these numbers from this chart over here. Now the other thing about this, since this pays forever, let's say somebody leaves this in here for 10 years. When they're 70 years old, they're going to get 13,000 a year every year for the rest of their life. Now you might say, well, gosh, that's not very much money. Well, that's how they can be designed so you never ever run out of money. That's the importance of this. So what the insurance company does is they say, well, you have 200,000, you're 70. We think you're going to probably live to be 88 or 90 years old. So they apportion that money out. It's just like Social Security, right? The closer you are to as you get older in Social Security, the payouts are going to be better. So the nice thing about this is every year you wait to start taking a payout, you get a higher percentage paid out, plus you have a bigger pile of money from which to pay you out. Now, the great thing about these, which Fidelity and Schwab, those companies cannot offer you, let's say right here you start taking a payout at 70 years old, 13,000 a year, and you have a home health care issue that qualifies, or a, um, a situation where you have to go into a nursing home, they pay you twice your money until your original money is gone, and then they start you back to the 13,000. So when people do these types of plans, most people who live long, they've received 2 or even 3 times what they originally put into their plan. So again, this is set up as a pension for you. And so that's where you can see over here, see the death benefit. The death benefit isn't fantastic. What goes to beneficiaries isn't fantastic because this is your pension money. That's just like as a teacher, a fireman, a police officer. Typically, they'll be getting a pension fund when they retire, but if they pass away, their family typically doesn't get that full pension, like a teacher's pension. They won't get that pension money, not all of it. So that's how these things work. So this answers the questions about how are these things, how do they work on two extremes, as an investment plan or as a pension plan. This is exactly how they work. And what lots of my clients do when I work with them, let's say they have 100,000, they might say, hey, you know what, Ron? I'm going to take 50,000, put it in this plan. That's walkaway money. And then I want to take 50% and put it in this plan as a pension. Then they have choices later in life. So thank you very much for watching. Very easy for me to do an illustration for you. We can get on the phone. We can talk a little bit about what your goals are, what your timeline is for retirement, talk about what your Social Security payout looks like, and then we can do all the math and figure out which type of plan would work for you. So thank you very much for watching. All of my contact information is up here. Please shoot me a message. Let's talk about this and see what we can set up for you where you never ever have to worry about losing any part of your investments. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.